And so it is, I mean, fantastic to hear that you have the largest program in the country, because this is exactly the scale that we want to be able to kind of bring together as well. We recognise that all the reasons that you've just said, this is a huge growth area. Greg was talking to me at breakfast about the fact that psychology at Monash is now becoming a big area of focus for the university as well. And so that just reflects the community need. And in India, we see a massive community need as well. And so I think there's a lot of opportunities for philanthropy. I think there's a lot of opportunities for industry to support, because it's a natural thing that people feel drawn to support capacity building in mental health, right? Because virtually everyone is touched by some kind of mental health phenomenon in their families, in their communities. And so I think it is a good case to be able to make. The other thing that I'm interested in doing with your university is that the focus on a Western model of mental health has only taken us so far. And for 50 to 60 years, there's been little progress in improving mental health interventions. Psychiatrists are using the same drugs that they used 50 years ago, and nothing much has changed.
Absolutely.
And there is a big push to look to Eastern cultures, more ancient cultures that have already been practicing, but their practices have been overlooked.
Yes.
And so our accrediting body in Australia is asking us to what we call decolonize our curriculum, which means take out the Western kind of framework and think of a much more broader global understanding of mental health. And so we need to look for solutions.
Yes.
And so this is a great opportunity for us as well.
Right. Yeah. I think that would be that would be great. And that is what we will be supporting. It will be a very genuine research work. We have a center for happiness here, which we want to revamp. So rather, we want that now psychology department should play a more important role in that center. And we should be able to then look at that what kind of research is required. Because, in the conference which we had in Singapore, we concluded that the mental health issues, even the hospitals and psychiatric, and the very senior doctors who came to speak on this topic. And I was very happy that the way they were addressing, and very serious dialogue happened. And I think that most of the countries in the Western world, they are just slowing down. So if you have some issue, what they will do is that they will give you a medicine which will slow you down. So it is something which makes your mind slow, right? So that is not a solution, because and then it's a kind of a drug, and a very serious drug, right? So and then what happens is that it takes many years for a person to come out of that drug, because the body is so mute. It's like alcohol or weeds. So just giving it a different shape. That you are trying to kill the pain, and then you are making the body of a person slow. Whereas we are trying at our center that we should be able to look at the cause of the issue. For example, we divided actually this work into 5 parts, which was funded. This was a project which we gave to the students who are on the study abroad. And they did very good work. One of your students has got $1,500. Okay. Prachi is her name of the girl. So but very, very good presentation. She gave a good presentation. We divided into 5 parts. So we look at the students who are teenagers. Then we looked at the college goers. Then we look at the middle-aged people. And then we look at the elderly. Right. So initially we gave proposal for elderly, because we thought that in hospitals most of the elderly cases come. But to our surprise, in Singapore, 70% of the cases are from young people. It's not through elderly. So young people are having so many issues.
Yes.
And it can be through various reasons. It can be towards even which in India people are not realizing the natural identification of sexuality in the people.
Yeah.
That they are feeling like let's say a male feeling like a female.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, or a female feeling like a male.
Yes.
And society is not accepting. So this was one of the very broad issues. I was educated quite a lot that this is one issue. Second was isolation. Third was over expectation. Then fourth was that how people are trying to bully youngsters.
Yes.
Then broken relationships. I think it was an eye opener. So and the hospitals are quite keen that we should be able to do some serious study in India and in other parts of the world. Rather, I think that you have got a center in Malaysia also.
Yes, we've got a campus in Malaysia. Yes, and
so,
psychology presence there as well. Yeah.
So I think that there is someone, I have forgotten the name.
Yeah.
So is doing some work in Singapore.
Right.
Yeah. So this was also quoted in the conference. And
someone from MONASH doing some work.
Similar work for Singapore hospitals.
Yes,
maybe that they've done some collaboration. So we were very keen that we should be able to, we can even rope in our Singapore campus for such tasks. And this can be a very good big project for India and also for the other parts of the world, because more I am going deep into it. I feel that this is a very, very serious issue, which we have not been able to understand. But more presentations were such good presentations. There was we kept a session, Professor Greg, for about 1.5 hours. So we couldn't even define problem in 1.5 hours. So then we said that, okay, fine, we will give half a day for identification of problems and solutions. So this was funded then. So and we did. It's a very good research work, which we will be able to look at it. So I think along with the formal courses, we would like to develop a center. Maybe that you and Dr. Bhatia can decide that what should be the name of that center. We can involve MONASH, Malaysia, MAT, all universities coming together, and Center of Happiness can. We want that it should be named differently now.
So, Professor Singh, I think a couple of things just in response to what you said. Firstly, if we look at mental health, kind of what we call the spectrum, the vast majority of the population are sitting in the either without symptoms or at risk category. And a smaller number are entering into the mentally ill category. Now, once they enter into the mentally ill,
then there's no cure.
And as you described, it's years of treatment, lost productivity, massive cost to society. And really the scale of these problems means that countries like Australia haven't got the resources to manage this. And certainly in India, there aren't the skills and the capacity to deal with the scale of this problem. So it's much better to focus on the at-risk category to prevent them from becoming unwell, because the cost of those interventions at a population level would be much more manageable.
No, absolutely.
So we can train our graduates to kind of focus in that area. A Centre for Happiness, however it's rebranded, can focus on preventing people from converting into mental ill health. Right. And I think that would be a great synergy and an unmet need as well in society as well.
Right, absolutely. But I think that we need to do it very scientifically, because right now in the Happiness Center, the way we are able to understand the problems, we are not able to identify the major issues. Whereas the more I understand this subject now, I think that it is quite a scientific topic. We need to understand that what leads to a problem. Because I was under the impression that majority of the problem is in the middle-aged people and in the old people. But youngsters, for example, in Kota in India, there are large number of suicides. It's a very serious issue. that a person who is 16-year-old, 17-year-old, right, is also having such issue, because anyone who's taking extreme step must be having this issue. Your marriage related issues, you know.
Thank you.
And the problem is that in some of the countries, they don't even realize that this is a problem. And or working environment. For example, you would find that in India, in many cases, we have seen abnormal working environment. People shouting, right, having very high blood pressure, right, or reacting, right. For example, in Indian Army, this is another study which I actually want to involve myself now to write such projects, because I have been trainer, was doing quite a few trainings. For example, in Indian Army and those who are at the border security, Dr. Ranjana, large number of the people who are at the lowest cadre, they shoot their bosses.
They shoot their
bosses. Because they can't take that pressure, because you are denying them leave.
Yes.
And continuously, if they are working and they're not able to take that pressure, so in that pressure, but this is extreme step, so someone has not been able to identify their mental sickness.
We have a very similar issue. Defence Forces in Australia, there's been a Royal Commission into mental health, suicide in veterans and in active defence personnel, because their mental health is a serious issue. So it's very, very similar issues that are facing, the personnel there as well.
Right. So we have identified 5 areas, but maybe then you can identify some more areas, and then let's start working on it. We'll create some proposals for both sides of the government, and we'll try to see that how scientifically we can reduce the stress level of the people. If there are a few instruments which can be created, we would like to create those instruments. For example, the band which I told you that we are working on.
Yes.
That if this can be looked at the earlier stress level, they can detect.
Yes.
Right. Then we can maybe we can look at that how we with some good company we can be associated. But step one, I think that the articulation arrangement, we are. I'm very happy that we have been able to finalize. We will start working on it, and we are working on few broader arrangements. If that starts from the next year, which we are planning, we will create a very big psychology department, right, in that setup.
So I think the opportunities in young people. So during the pandemic, we looked at symptoms of poor mental health in the population in Australia and the United States. And as you said, Professor Singh, the young people under the age of 18, very high risk of depression and anxiety symptoms. The LGBTQI plus community, very high risk.
Note down points. Note down points.
And caregivers of people with disability or elderly, caregivers of children as well, all at much higher risk of poor mental health. And then certain segments of the workforce, healthcare workers, first responders, police, ambulance, all of those, very high risk of poor mental health and high risk of suicide.
But have you been working on LGBT issues?
We have got a group in our school that is, and particularly LGBT in adolescence. And so that is a very vulnerable stage. And so certainly if that's an area, so I think some of those points that you've just described, if we were to look at segments of the population that have increased vulnerability, it would be adolescents.
Right.
Adolescents and young adults, that transition phase is quite, our university population, for example, is quite a high risk group.
Right.
Certain workforces as well. So we have a lot of research going on in workplace mental health and well-being.
Right.
And so you could look at specific populations within that. And then probably the third one is the older end of the spectrum where people are developing cognitive declines, dementias and these things, which is as the population lives longer, these problems are now becoming a bigger issue. The mood disturbances as well. go alongside that depression, cognitive decline.
Yeah.
So being able to improve quality of life outcomes in older people is another
Right.
area that perhaps we could look at as well. It's just some suggestions, and we have to look at what areas are strong here in Amity as well.
Right. So I think that we will identify these areas. 5 we have identified on which the Singapore conference they actually worked on it. I will pass the work which we have done.
Great.
Right. We can jointly write also.
Yeah.
We are coming up with a special issue now with Springer and Taylor and Francis on mental health issues only.
Okay.
So this is a new development. When I was there, Springer has agreed that they will be able to do it. It will be a very big thing. And all top psychologists, and I'm adding a secretary angle also to it,
Okay.
so that we see that how they deal. Because to my knowledge, the number of presentations I attended, all of them, you are right, that the treatment is same. So which means that this is no treatment.
Yeah.
Because if this is what they are giving to every patient, same. So this treatment is no treatment. So it actually needs more of a psychologist who's able to understand. And genuinely, I see that there are very few in the world who are able to do such counseling. Very few. The rest of the people, either they are not able to understand, or they are just in the profession. They don't have exposure to deep. Neither they have got a maturity to look at such issues. Rather, many times they complex it.
Yeah.
Because if you are guiding someone wrongly, you are not able to understand. It will create more problems rather than a solution.
Do you have work going on here at Amity on traditional Indian practices?
Yes.
For example, in mental
Meditation.
health and well-being. Yeah. So it's funny that that in the Western model of mental health, meditation has become a big deal.
Yes.
Right. It's growing and growing. Yeah.
Which meditation and mindfulness and everything is a very important aspect. And the students as well as the faculty members are extensively working on that.
Okay.
Because indigenous therapies specifically talking about the Eastern aspect, they take care of the individual aspect of the body. And as mentioned by you, we take into account that is domain also, like if we are dealing with one individual X, why is that individual? There are other people in the caregivers aspects of it. So drawing in from the basic ecological model. So these indigenous therapies work at every domain.
Yes, which is critical.
Yes,
right? Because it's not the mental health issue is not an individual problem. It's a social and community.
Absolutely. The whole positive psychology domain, which has come down recently in the last 2 decades from the Western domain, so that was an inherent part of the very specific indigenous domain of our culture per se. But the good thing has been that the very therapies, the very interventions now which have been spoken about, have already been existing out in the world. Like if I talk about the positive psychotherapeutic domain, all the steps involved basically deal with the very individual, and we go by each and every step which talks about meditation, talks about mindfulness, talking about dealing with the individual, with their family and everything.
Yeah.
It has been a part of the very culture. I think it's a wonderful aspect that we really need to focus.
Dr. Tamanna, we also need to look at this in this new setup which we want to create. And this is going to be a very huge project. It's not going to be a very small project where we are only taking 1 or 2 subjects. We're trying to involve some of the best players in the world.
Yes.
So we need to understand that what are the issues which trigger it. For example, these 5 areas which we took, I think that this was also not the full study, because I think one of the doctors whom we called there, very good doctor, I would say. He was MS in psychiatry.
Okay.
Yeah. So he said that that in Asia, it's very common that that sometimes the problem is such where a person starts thinking that he's someone else. So within a body, you have 2 persons. So it is with LGBT issue,
Yes.
but it can be something else also.
Yeah.
You know, that a person feels that there's a soul coming in,
Yeah.
right? So and he says there's no soul.
So and there can be conflict between
So
those. Yeah.
there's no soul.
Yeah.
That but a person starts actually talking like his forefathers, right? Or the voice becomes a different. He starts talking like a female, right? Or his thinking is different. So I think that we need to create such centers, small studies, and then we can involve some good people in India. For example, Wim Hans is here. They have many patients like this.
Vim hands. I know Nim hands.
Wim Hans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Similarly, All India Institute of Medical Sciences here
Here in Delhi.
in Delhi, they have many such cases.
So I know the one in Bangalore, the National Institute
Yes, yeah.
for Mental Health.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge
Yeah.
thing as well.
Yeah. And then there are various doctors who are looking at, for example, Alzheimer's. So there are issues which are related with neurology, which few are related with the mental health. Few have psychological issues, but I think that lot of research needs to be done. So I think that our curriculum, the way we are designing it, that our bachelor's program and our master's program, maybe we'll give some specialization to the students also on such issues.
So we should come back to the students in a moment. But the other thing, Professor Singh, to think about is, so we've recently been successful in getting some grants from the Wellcome Trust in the UK.
Right.
So the Wellcome Trust is very strong with funding at the moment, looking beyond Europe because of, I presume, the whole change in the political landscape in the United Kingdom.
Right.
They're looking well beyond Europe for to fund research.
Okay.
And so Australia has been, at Monash, we've been getting quite a lot of funding from the Wellcome Trust.
Right.
Mental health is one of the big areas of focus
Yeah.
of the Wellcome Trust.
Right.
And they're particularly interested in low to middle income countries.
Yeah.
So if Amity was to set up a strong, connected base in India, it would position Amity well to be able to compete for these. So, because what we did for the last Wellcome Trust grant that we were successful in getting is we partnered with Monash Malaysia, and we used to have a campus in South Africa. So we partnered with them as well, but they're no longer a Monash campus. But the Wellcome Trust looked favorably at us that we had a base in Asia and a base in Africa. But it would be excellent to have a similar thing in India as well.
I think in my presentation, I'll give you another presentation today also. I had mentioned that we also work with Wellcome Trust. And we get some fund. And we have got a very strong presence in Africa through our Pan-African E-Network project.
Right.
And then through some people, we have been able to, like, for example, our Center of Happiness, it's fully funded by Reiki Foundation. There's a Singapore-based person who has been able to fund it. But right now, we are not doing very serious work. So I must admit that we have not been able to look at psychology and psychiatry as a area. That's why I'm saying that we want to involve psychology more into it.
Yes.
So it has to be more serious work rather than just doing exercises or training. So I think that if we are able to create Monash Malaysia, Monash Australia, MIT here, Wellcome Trust, Reiki Foundation, and also our international campuses, wherever we have. For example, we have got some very strong presence in US. We work with NYU.
Yeah.
And NYU has another department which is working on mental health issues only.
Yeah.
As you know,
Yeah,
they have
it's
got
a
a hospital.
huge, yeah.
Similarly, Columbia, with whom we work, they have got these issues. And this is somehow after COVID, these are the issues which are now being accepted. Earlier, people were not accepting. So now people are coming out. For example, in India, insurance still doesn't cover mental health issues, which is it's not a disease. It is, right? It is a very, very serious disease. In Singapore, they have accepted very lately that this is a disease. Earlier, they were also saying this is not a disease. This is just a state of mind. It is not a state of mind. Now, there can be OHD disorders. You may be knowing that a person has a complex. So, there's a treatment which few people have been able to create. University of Auckland, they are doing some very serious work on it. Freshwater, Professor Freshwater.
No.
She's a cross-cultural expert. She's a vice chancellor there, a good friend.
Uh-huh.
So she is doing some very serious work on that, how you can look at playing with the nerves. So it can be that the blood,
So like the brain stimulation.
brain stimulation,
Right.
because it can be that the blood is not being supplied to the brain, and because it is not being supplied, right, all kind of these issues are coming in. It can be substance abuse also.
Yeah.
So which is a very big problem in some countries, especially in the Western world. So and they play with the nerves. So once they start playing with the nerves, for example, alcohol, too much of alcohol, right, or drugs, or too much of drugs, or cheap drugs, right. So once they start playing with your mind, you can't come back, because they compress your brain muscles. So I think that this center will work very closely. Or when you get older, for example, Alzheimer, right? It has to do lot of things have to be related with the care you take, right? So I have gone through personally. My mom was not well. She was diagnosed with cancer. So doctors told that she will die within next to 1 to 3 months. So I said, thank you. So there was one Dr. Srivastava who was dealing, and very senior cancer specialist. He said that, look, I can't say that what will happen to her, but my research says that if her body is happy, that she is happy from inside, the pain can be reduced, and maybe that she will live longer. So we used to create environment around her to make her happy. Like, so for example, we said everyone that no one will talk about disease. She has to go every month out for out of Delhi. Right, it was a very difficult thing for us. Right, so the doctor said that it's difficult, that if she will walk, there can be problems. But we used to take her to London, to US, to Canada, for trips. We experimented. It's an article which Dr. Srivastava has written. It's a research on her, and she did for 6 years. Wow! In the 4th stage of the cancer. Right, she was able to survive for 6 years. So in the morning we created a yoga center, and she was doing yoga. Then she was going to. We have a gurdwara. You know that, like you have a church. So we have a. She used to run a center, and then every 2 weeks, and she had to go for chemo, and about 80-year-old. But every time she was going for a chemo, we used to encourage her, and one person from the family has to be with her, right, when the chemo is going on, right. And we used to create something that, look, this is so simple, and she accepted it as a part of it. So and then COVID happened. Yeah. And when COVID happened, she was not able to go out because she was running a yoga group, right, and she was very happy with people in the morning. Social. Yeah. But when COVID happened, she couldn't go out. Suddenly, her condition deteriorated. So she stopped talking, she stopped eating, and within 3 months she died. So I think that, and this is a very good example. Yeah. That if you involve people, right, they feel good. But if you keep them isolated, that look, this is happening, and even when she was about to die, we never wanted to send her to the hospital, and she was also not very keen. But then the blood pressure was dropping, sugar level was dropping, sodium level was dropping. So and we gave every possible medicine. They were especially they brought some injections which were from Germany, which were giving. They were giving every week. Were giving. The doctor was saying that her body will not be able to take it because she's 80-year-old, very thin, reducing weight. Everything was being reduced. But I think that it is more a psychological support which a patient gets.
It has a huge impact on your
huge impact.
immune function, on your
Yeah.
kind of, the whole ability to withstand the effects of the chronic condition that you have.
Before her death, 1.5 years back, and I wrote an article on it. And I actually want to publish this work now with Springer, the new book which you're writing. So I got a call from the doctor. She was admitted that time at Max. So that she will be hardly 24 hours is a time because and she was in ICU. So I was in Tashkent, Russia at that time. So I said, okay, fine, I'll take a flight. So I took a flight. Incidentally, there was no direct flight available, so we went to Amritsar, and then from Amritsar I went to Golden Temple, and I recorded something there, and I said that just play it wherever she is, that someone is praying for you. You'll not believe it. 2:30 I came. I landed here, and I straight went to the hospital because they were saying the condition is very serious, and I went to ICU to see her. So she was lying there, and I said, "I have come." She opened her eyes, right, and said, "I'm all okay." No, I'm all okay. Right, take me out. So I said, "No, you here." She said, "No, I'm all okay." And after a few days, there was her 80th birthday. We had to celebrate. So I said, "Mom, you have to. Don't you think that you have to celebrate your birthday?" And she said, "Yeah, Gana." Right. So everyone came, and she actually sang song. After 1 week, after 8 days, she was all fine. And then we said that should be cancelled. He said, no, don't cancel. We'll have everyone should come. So my daughter came from US at that time. So she said that, Dadi, what will happen to your hair? And I told you, name it artificial about deputation ko bulao, that I want to have an artificial hair. So she got it. And we thought, so I said, we will take you on a wheelchair. I said, no, I will walk. So mental, I think that psychologically, and she sang, and we have recorded version. She really sang, and after a few days, her condition was bad, but she actually sang. So I strongly feel that positive psychology has a role. We actually created this center because we wanted that something truly should be given back to the society.
So by the way, Professor Singh, I'd love to see the article that was written.
I'll send it.
Your example is
all 5 studies which we have done in Singapore. My article, it has to go. Okay.
So that example that you gave is a clear way in which aging in the Western context has become a very isolated, lonely phenomenon,
right?
Which is undoubtedly contributing to the rise in dementias, Alzheimer's, etc., and the poor quality of life.
Yes.
Unfortunately, in the Eastern world is going in the direction as well, where people are living in their little cocoons and carrying on their lives. That whole idea of community and social interaction is decreasing. And so we need to research this, right? So we need to make sure that we understand the impact of people becoming more and more isolated and lonely as they age, because it is contributing to a lot of cognitive decline.
Right.
And so I think in terms of moving on to the students, what we would love to do is think about how to bring this articulation pathway to life.
Right.
And I was talking to Greg earlier about, we want to make this a partnership that the students form a key part of that. The students are giving us the point of connection constantly between Amity and Monash. What are some effective ways in which we can highlight these opportunities to students? We can set some goals in terms of what are the kind of numbers that we're looking for to try and really, engage them in research in both places, etc. What are your ideas about how we can really maximize this articulation pathway?
So I think that the program which we are running right now, it's a bachelor's program.
Yes.
But we will like to do both masters, and then we will identify a few areas of research which we'll send to you. And we are looking at, right now, the discussions are going on that how we can have a campus. So if we create a different setup, we will create a very big psychology department which will only offer courses of Monash and Amity, right? Because very high-end professors, some excellent researchers from across the globe, and I think that Monash, Australia, and I saw some good work of Monash, Malaysia also.
Yes, yeah.
So, we can involve them.
Yeah.
And then from here, our psychology department and Dr. Bhatia, maybe if we can involve others, maybe you can speak to all VCs and other psychology departments also.
So Greater Noida and
No, Greater Noida, both chota hai, but other universities.
Other universities.
Universities of Amity. We have got 12 universities.
Okay.
So it will give sizable, it will give us a size, it will give us a research, and then we will see that how we should approach the issues. So I think one is academic, but other is giving back to the society.
Yeah,
it will be a very good thing that if we are able to do it. I was concentrating only on one issue earlier, elders, because I have gone through it.
Yes.
So I was trying to understand. So we actually did a earlier initiative, which was Adopt the Elder. So which was supported by Times of India. It is one of the leading newspapers in India. They did a 2-page cover page story also on us, where we were adopting the elders, like you adopt kids. Our students, Professor Greg, they were adopting the elders, and it was having a very positive impact on the villages and to the nearby areas. But then we have got limited resources. Right. So, but now with this center coming up and the courses, so I think the psychology department will also become very strong. There are internships opportunities which we want to create in India. Maybe Australian students can come here. India has got a huge population.
Yeah.
So I think one thing we can create is good projects for the students. And it's a growing area in India because a lot of people have not even realized now. People still feel shame to talk about it. Like the way I'm talking, not very few people will talk. And where is a problem? There is an issue, there is a problem, but people will not come out openly.
Yeah.
So
there's still a stigma and all of
this. They feel that why people are saying that no one should say that they're mad. It's not mad, but this is an issue, right? So if this is an issue, then we will find a solution. So we will give you a round of the campus. We'll also show you what we are doing for center for happiness, but we want to rebrand it, and we need to be sitting with you to look at what else can be done.
Yeah,
maybe 4 or 5 departments can be created there. Right, where the psychology, psychiatry, old, young.
Do you have psychiatry here?
No, we don't have. We want to create. That is why I was trying to go to various hospitals this time.
Do you have a medical program?
We have nursing and we have physiotherapy.
Right.
But we want to create a psychiatry department because I think that most of the things can be done by the clinical psychologists. With the psychiatrists, because most of the time psychiatrists are not able to diagnose, but the clinical psychologist is able to diagnose that what is the real issue.
And the psychiatrist works
very closely with them.
Yeah, works very closely with them, but works at the very clinical end of the spectrum. So the illness end, whereas a psychologist can work much more at that earlier part, which is where we're talking about the kind of the at-risk groups as well. Greg, we were talking earlier about, in terms of the articulation pathway, what would be, and Professor Singh is talking about kind of really maximizing the research opportunity for getting these students involved. What would be some good, I'm thinking in terms of setting ourselves some good goals in terms of, eventually students coming from Monash here to Amity as well to experience the environment here, but from Amity to Australia. What do you think would be a reasonable thing to kind of think about for the next 12 months? What should we set as a kind of a goal for us in terms of this articulation pathway?
I think that articulation will have good numbers. I can foresee, psychology especially. There's a growing interest. Also, 300 students from Monash are coming to India.
Yeah, the gig.
Yeah.
Global immersion guarantee is going to come.
Yeah.
Because this is a very good location for the students. I mean, it's in Delhi. There's a lot near here. We have been sending the students to Jindal, but it's a long way out.
We will take care.
So these are 300 students
From Monash.
from Monash.
Yeah,
So we could,
it's global immersion guarantee.
yes, the global
So-
immersion
so-
guarantee. Yeah.
So we can offer some scholarships to the Monash psychology students. So maybe 50. Right. So, and we can create some good internship opportunities also for them.
Yes.
Right. It will, and if your few faculty members can come with them, we will make them comfortable. We've got
Yeah,
some good
yeah.
healthcare. So we'll show you the facilities today.
Okay.
Right. So that you can see. Otherwise, we can also accommodate them in some good hotels. With Radisson here, Crown Plaza is there. But we have got international guest house, which is better than a hotel. But you can just have a look. That if you feel you have seen it.
I have seen it, but it's not for a year, and it's very interesting to see because I mean we're certainly interested in partnering with Amity,
Okay.
and your facilities are very, very impressive, and they've got a lot of homogeneity about them, like
Right.
and they look like they're built properly.
Yes.
Like we've obviously spent.
Right. So you can just look at it. If you feel that this is something which is okay with you, we can accommodate. But I think that 50 students will like to, and faculty members will like to accommodate specifically for psychology, who can work on these projects.
From Monash here.
From Monash to here. And then from here also, we'll be able to send you good number of students who can work on such projects.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I was very impressed by this psychology girl. Who gave a, I'll give you the name, right? Prachi or someone.
Only one went close to you.
Yeah, she was a bit, but good, very good presentation she gave. Like at such young age, touching on the problems.
So she's there at the moment, is she?
She is in Australia.
She
With
is
this group
yeah.
that is
Yes.
there.
Yeah, very good presentation. You met her. Tall girl, one tall girl there was there, but a very good presentation they made. That what are these issues, how we can cure it.
Oh, yes. She said, because we're doing psychology when I go back with these students.
Okay.
Next week,
Okay.
they're coming to us.
Okay. So we will surely send a good number of students,
Mhm.
maybe one or two faculty members also.
Yeah.
But we'll create some good projects before that. I'll be discussing with you that what are those projects, how we can look at, and also in Singapore, because that is also one area which excites us quite a lot. So I'll send you the projects which we have been able to create. We will like to have your inputs, the points which you have given, we will again add them, and then we will see that how it works.
Which is the hospital in Singapore that you're working with?
This is Singapore SIMH, I think.
Singapore Institute
Of Medical and Health Sciences. Yeah, it's at a very elementary stage. Yeah, because he's in our board. Dr. Omkar Singh is in our board. He's an industrialist basically. So he's not doing it for money or for, he just wants to give back to the society. And Reiki Foundation also, he's an industrialist. So he sponsored, he gave us quite a good aid to create this center here. So in Singapore, I called, so they came. And they immediately, just to encourage students, they said, okay, fine. They looked at a presentations are good. They said, can we give some funds? So I said, whatever you feel. So they immediately said that $1,500 to each student who is giving the presentation.
There's also the Duke NUS partnership there, which is also very good, and they've got some good networks with the hospitals there,
Right.
because they've got a medical program there.
Okay, right.
So Duke University in the US
Right.
has a huge presence in the National University of Singapore,
Right.
and so they have a
If you
partner.
have got a time, I'll just call them up.
Hmm,
If they can speak from Singapore to you,
yes.
yeah, that would be great.
Hmm.
If we can take it together. If you
Yeah.
got some time, you have a round. In the meantime, I'll just write him an email.
Yeah.
If he can come online or Zoom call, they can have. Otherwise, I'll introduce both of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So we can create similar kind of structure that what we can do together.
Okay.
Right. He has done this in MIT, but then he was saying that do something which is really unique, which others are not doing, and at scientific angle.
Hmm,
So then I told him that we are having a relationship with Monash.
hmm.
So he said that any help you need, any funding you need, anything which you feel that we can do. But the only thing which they were very keen was that it has to be based on some good work. It should not be very general sort of thing, but actually leading to the real diagnosis of the problem.
Great. Can I just say one more thing? Another area of opportunity where you can get a lot of private investment is in this area of workplace mental health. So I just was in a conference before I came here in Jaisalmer, and they were talking about the growth in, mental health issues in a whole range of workforces, including call centers and all of these groups where you're seeing increased stress, burnout, and so on. There's a lot of private investment coming into developing programs to support those sorts of workforces as well. So we should certainly, in India, I can imagine there's a massive opportunity for those kind of private sector workforces as well that we can develop programs with.
Right. Yeah, we can do that. Good. Right. So I think that right now we are doing bachelor's to masters. We can also look at masters program, and rather than reinventing the wheel, we can take your curriculum as a curriculum.
Yes.
Right, and then start offering it.
What do you, to practice as a psychologist in India, what do you need to do? Like, is there a professional registration?
Yes,
How-
yes.
how do you
Yeah,
practice?
yeah. I think Dr. Rajna Bhatia would be able
Yes,
to tell you.
there is after doing their post graduation, they are supposed to do certificate which is given by Rehabilitation Council of India, and MPhil they do.
Yes, and
They have to do MPhil or a diploma, and they get a number, registration number. It is only after that license or the number that they can practice.
But that their department is very efficient at.
Mm.
So they have been doing it. So I think that we will, because we have got thousands of students who are coming out. And
4,000 students.
Wow.
yeah,
That's big. So you do a bachelor degree and then a certificate or an MPhil, and then you get a certification. And you,
Bachelor's degree, then post graduation.
master.
oh, then,
Yes, and then MPhil, and then
and you deliver the bachelor degree, but not the master's. Like,
deliver the masters also.
oh, you do. So,
We have masters. We have got 4 verticals in masters.
oh, okay. So you can do the entire accredited
Yes,
status
yes,
here.
yes.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Up to PhD.
Yeah.
Quite a few of our very senior psychologists in the hospitals and practitioners, they are from MIT. They do it, but that it's still growing. I must be honest that it's not very advanced. So if we are able to create something which is very authentic research, it will be good for both the universities, but it will also be very good for the society as such.
So how many practicing psychologists do you think you would graduate every year? Like, how many make it to the end?
We have more than 600 students doing clinical psychology,
Right.
and then they do their MPhil, and maybe about 40 to 50% of them.
600.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you see,
Only in clinical psychology.
yeah,
That's
It is
remarkable.
a huge number.
there's
That's
a
a very
huge
big department.
You must go see it, right? So that you'll be able to see the size. We'll give you a round and we will take you to the psychology department. Unfortunately, today is examination.
Right.
So students are in examination.
Yeah.
But you will be able to see the faculty, very learned faculty members.
I'll connect him to Dr. Rajat Mitra. He's a very well-known, internationally well-known clinical psychologist. So she will be there, he will be there, and one more person. So you can have a detailed talk with them, with the three of them.
No, this is great. This is a very interesting conversation because it's only because you've got the scale that you have and that we've got the scale and we both have the global footprint that we can even consider these sorts of things.
Right.
That we can make the world better.
Yes, absolutely. And then I'll also introduce you with few senior researchers who are working on this publication. So experiences.
Right.
And then maybe that we can involve a few people there.
Yeah.
From your side, there is a lady called Shanti, I think. The one who was on the call, who was a psychologist. What's the name of the lady who was from Monash who was on the call? Shanti or? You heard there was a.
Madhavi or
I'll tell you the name.
From Monash, Malay.
Monash.
Yes.
No, Monash, Australia.
Australia. Madhavi, I think.
I was not able to see her this time, but she was saying that she has also done some work.
one from India.
Anyway, we'll let you know.
Avan.
No, not Avanti.
Yeah, from
No,
No.
not from.
She's the
No.
one who's corresponding with us.
Yes.
Avanti is not a person because Avanti is from the international affairs. I think.
Yes, yes.
There was someone from the psychology department. I had a conversation, and then she was saying that we will be able to look at do some work. I'll send you the names. I have in my notes.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think that this is those in the beginning a welcoming meeting that you know about it. Swati
Mujumdar. Yeah. So Swati, absolutely.
Yes.
So she would be. So she is coming to. She comes to Delhi very often. So she wants to visit Amity as well.
Yeah.
So
Most
that
welcome.
would be yeah.
Yeah, if she wants to come for a month, can be wants to work with our psychology department. Very happy to host her.
Now, before we go, can we take a photograph?
Yeah, no, of course. Much more than that.
Most importantly,
much more than that.
Come on.
You're being recorded and on camera all the time.
I should have watched what I said then.
No, you said everything right. Yes.
Where would you like to take photograph?
Some mementos also. But you will be taking lunch, so we should. You will be here for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, Greg, I'm open now because that visit to the school has been postponed to tomorrow.
Oh, okay, good.
So I'm flexible, but I know you've got other
Are you visiting a few other institutions?
schools,
No, schools. Okay.
not universities.
You want
So
to see school, MIT school also?
is there a high school?
Oh, we have got we have the most prestigious schools here.
The biggest school is just next door, more than 7,000 students.
Yeah, so our CBSE schools are very prestigious schools. Class 12 topper, class 10 top topper, they come from our schools. They're very big schools.
Well, I mean, I'm open to what you're suggesting. Greg's in charge.
One of the things we need to discuss our township. That's fine.
Okay, so I think that maybe you can take a round. We will have a photograph here, and then we have got some mementos for you, which we would like to give you after lunch. So once you are here, then we will take a lunch together, and then we can exchange our greetings. And then if you want to go, then you can go.
Okay.
Before that, I think that we need to majorly discuss now on the operational aspects and the financial aspects.
Good.
Oh, good.
All right.
Okay.
Let's have a photograph together first, because then I think.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.